So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 3 o'clock, and a very warm welcome here to our second ArcSolution webinar. As you can see, the topic of today will be about the One Health in the ArcSolution project. The first speaker will be Arja Rautio from Finland, and the second speaker will be Roland Kallenborn from Norway, and I'll get back to the presentation of our two speakers a bit later today. I'm also thinking that most of you know about the ArcSolution. It's funded by Horizon Europe under the Zero Pollution Call, and it is focusing on One Health in the Arctic. My name is Sonne. I'm from Aarhus University, and I'm one of the work package leaders of the project, and I'm the moderator of today. We are so lucky that we also have the Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program AMAP in the project, and we are now using their platform for these webinars. And also please be aware that we are recording the webinar of today, and it will be broadcasted on a YouTube channel that could also be circulated later. The ArcSolution project is about One Health in the Arctic. It's entitled Arctic Pollution in a One Health Perspective, from Complex Challenges to Sustainable Solutions. And it's a One Health project that's really the foundation of ArcSolution. You can see here on the left, some of you might not really be knowledgeable about One Health, but it is really the interface between environmental, animal, wildlife, livestock, and human health, where you have this inter-transdisciplinary, holistic approach to the health surrounding humans and society. The ArcSolution project has participants from a number of Arctic countries. Among others, Norway, it's Finland, it's Svalbard, it's Faroe Islands, it's Greenland, Denmark, and it's also Canada. As you can see here on this overview slide, One Health is the embracing work package 2, led by Arja Rautio, our speaker of today. And then it's also including work package 3, 4, 5, and 7. It's about pollution. It's about impact under different scenarios. It's about climate change. It's about biodiversity. It's about pollution, which is encompassing this triple planetary crisis, being super important to local societies in the Arctic. And the solution work package is run by our coordinator, Roland Kallenborn, which is the second speaker of today. Now to the introduction of our two very well-known speakers of today. The first is Professor Arja Rautio. She's a medical doctor and toxicologist from Faculty of Medicine in the University of Oulu, Finland. She's acting as a professor in Arctic research and Arctic chair in Arctic health. She's using a community-based participatory methods and One Health approach in her research. She will give an overview about this of today, because One Health is quite complex and needs to be established on a regional or locality-specific way. Then we have Professor Roland Kallenborn, who's the coordinator of our project and work package leader. And he's an environmental scientist and professor of organic analytical chemistry at NMBU and also Nord University in Norway. He serves also as a Arctic chair in Arctic environmental pollution research and has published on contaminants in polar ecosystems. His work is bridging chemistry, risk assessments, toxicology, One Health, and it's addressing pollutant impact on humans, animals, and the environment. So now I would like to give the floor to our first speaker of today, which is Professor Arja Rautio. A very warm welcome to you, Arja. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christian. Yeah, I hope that now you can see my full screen slides.
We can.
Okay, so thank you very much this kind introduction, and I'm working in the University of Oulu, and I have been very long time in the faculties of the medicine, and also working with the University of the Arctic. I'm very happy to have this type of the title of my talk, One Health Concept, with examples from the Arctic. And as you just, Christian, said that it is very complex and very different ways we can just go forward with this One Health topic. So today I will introduce the One Health approach by using a couple of examples about the research project where I have been or where I'm involved at the moment. And One Health is a joint health of environment, animals, and humans. And in environmental part of health, it can be described by safe air, water, plants, shelter, and sanitation. Healthy wildlife population and food safety and sustainability are part of the animal health. In human health, there are also the individual and community well-being, resilience, and adaptation. And all this is connected and form together the One Health. It also gives the possibilities to collect the different type of the knowledges together, indigenous, local, and scientific. And I feel that it is also like a joint language between the different groups, researchers, politicians, and locals. How to build these complicated connections in the One Health model? On the right-hand side, on the right-hand side figure, there are some key drivers like climate and global change, together with environment, wildlife, and human interaction, which forms the One Health. During the One Arctic One Health project of the Sustainable Development Working Group under the Arctic Council, we made this figure and tried to highlight the topics not so complicated way. And now I have some examples from permafrost thaw, and it's under the environment, and also some of the infectious diseases, and then coming to the pollution. In the center of these three maps is North Pole, surrounded by 8 Arctic countries. Half of the Arctic is Russia, where lives 2/3 of the population. In the Arctic, there is around 7 million people, and 1 million are indigenous of those. And if we are looking at the permafrost issues, there is 5 million people living. In the settlements, 1,100 and a little bit more on permafrost. And that information is from the year 2017. And it is on the left-hand side map. The darkest colors, brown color, shows the region of continuous permafrost. Going lighter colors, discontinuous, isolated, and sporadic ones. Yellow dots in the map show inland settlements, and blue ones coastal. The map in the middle is an estimation of permafrost status in 2060 based on climate-driven permafrost projections that 42% of the permafrost settlements will become permafrost-free due to the thawing. It means that around 3.3 million people are not anymore on permafrost, and those settlements are marked as black dots on the map. This decrease in region of permafrost is huge, and it is really needed to take into consideration when settlements make their plans for the future. Of course, to the health of wildlife and humans, and also the food and water security, permafrost thaw has big impacts. Langer and co-workers published a paper about the contaminated sites in the Arctic. Researchers identified 4,500 industrial sites where potentially hazardous substances are actively used or stored in the permafrost-dominated regions in the Arctic. See map on the upper right-hand side. Energy and agriculture, forestry, and other land use account for the largest proportion of the industrial sites, but 70% is unknown. There might be up to 15,000 more of these type of the sites. Industrial contaminants have neglected in existing climate impact analysis, and they are important risk factor for One Health locally and globally. And of course, the contaminants, they can and they will release from permafrost. The community-based participatory approach and co-producing knowledge, they are important elements in the One Health research and approach. This paper was published as a conclusion and summary of the Nunatak project focused on effects of permafrost thaw in the Arctic coastal communities. In North Canada, there are Aklavik, Inuvik, Tuktoyaktuk, and West Greenland, Kanak and Ilulissat, Långebyn, and also Tiksi and Bukovsky in Sakha Republic, Russia. In the figure, and this was before the war, in the figure on left-hand side is the map of ground temperature, and it shows that the warming more than 0.2 Celsius per year, dark red color, is in some regions in Arctic Russia, Alaska, and Canada, and it's just in different ways shared to the different places. The work of characterization of hazards caused by permafrost thaw was done together with the researchers and locals and indigenous peoples in these 4 regions. And you can see the figure where the biggest risks were identified. They are transport, infrastructure failure, and food security, followed by water security and infectious diseases and contaminants. And the different regions, they are marked in different colors. And the thickness of the lines, it is saying that how important that is for the regions. Based on the results in the Nunatak project, the One Health model was built, and it is now used in the next project, ILLAC, which focuses on a holistic approach to permafrost thaw, pollution, and One Health, and well-being in the Arctic. The collaboration is continuing with communities in Mackenzie Delta region, Greenland, and Långebyn. And the main results of the Nunatak project has been collected to the book Permafrost Atlas, which is available on the website. And there are a lot of stories, maps, and results from the project. It was altogether 6 years, and I very much suggest that you go to the page and look the results more detailed. Second important topic in the One Health approach is infectious diseases, especially zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are those which transfer from animals to humans or vice versa. There are a large number of environmental stressors which are driving zoonotic infectious diseases, such as climate change, increased human activities, social determinants, and changes in food and web dynamics. Authors of this review suggest that action should be a scientific research, community-driven strategies, and undefined international efforts are needed. And I think that one of those important ones could be monitoring the infectious diseases. And I very much like the setting that the environment is covering everything, and then joint the pathogens are in the middle. Nordic Center of Excellence project, CLINF, climate change effects on the epidemiology of infectious diseases and impacts on northern societies from Nuuk over Russian Arctic. This project collected and integrated the data and trends of temperature and precipitation and information about the infectious diseases from these regions. The key climate factors for the behavior of infectious diseases between animals and humans are seasonal or mean temperature and precipitation. And it is not only the whole year or mean of the spring. It can be also maximum month precipitation, for example. And the diseases which were looked or infection agents, bacteria, viruses, and parasites, they were looking borreliosis, tularemia, leptospirosis, Q fever, tick-borne encephalitis, pulmonavirus infection, and cryptosporidiasis. And one of the conclusions of the project was that risk of infectious diseases will increase. The researchers found that the incidence, which means that how many cases, how many infections there are of various infectious diseases, were dependent on climate variables, temperature and precipitation. For example, looking at the borreliosis, when the autumn temperature is not so, it's warm autumn. The diseases are, the number of the cases are increasing, but in the leptospirosis, when the spring temperature is warmer, then it means that there are not so many cases. And I very much like the idea to also use the registers and make the integration with them and looking at what kind of things we can find from these data sets. Then to the third topic of my figure, which I introduced in the first slides. The researchers on the left-hand side, the figure are trends of mercury measurements from humans. The levels are decreasing during the monitoring period of around 50 years. However, the levels in the pilot whales are increasing during the monitoring period. Dietary recommendations and transition to Western type of food have effects on levels measured from humans. However, the health of whales needs other types of actions internationally and globally so that they are not exposed to mercury or other contaminants. POPs, they are the persistent organic pollutants. They are internationally restricted, long-range compounds which are highly persistent and toxic, and which easily accumulates in organisms. Most of these compounds are industrial chemicals, flame retardants, or pesticides. On the two other figures on the right-hand side, it shows that the decrease of POP levels during the 10 years time interval in two Norwegian populations. But the levels of new chemicals, paraffins, which are plastic additives, they are increasing. And usually when some of these chemicals are forbidden, there is coming new ones instead. Then coming to the ArcSolution. It is a very nice example how the joint One Health is built. The aim of the project is improving the understanding of the complexity of Arctic pollution in a climate context, working together with locals, indigenous peoples, and human and animal health experts. And I think that this One Health figure, the important elements are, of course, this environment, human and animal, their health, but the collaboration, communication, and coordination. And Roland will tell more about the project. Actually, the figure on the right-hand side is the way when I was thinking first the One Health One Health approach. Actually, at that time, we didn't talk so much about the One Health. It was just having the big picture how human health is impacted by the other things. And it was done already 15 years ago. So that they are the mother and child, and there is needed to have a clean food, clean drinking water, and clean air. And this is shared with the animals and plants. And also we are in the same environment with viruses, bacteria, chemicals, and weather conditions. And at that time, and I think that it's still true, that we were thinking that climate change is a huge driver, and that's why it's in block letters in this figure. But I think that in many other things, they have also huge impact for the human health if we are thinking how it continues, how it is in this context of the One Health. So say societal factors, politics, industries, and economy, they have also huge impacts. In many cases, the indirect way to have the health impacts is the economical ones. And I think that it's very much the same components are in this figure which I first introduced you, where the environment, zoonotic and vector-borne diseases and contaminants are surrounded or are in the context of the climate change and globalization. And somehow I'm sure that we can all have our own way to go to the One Health way of thinking. And I think that one of the important things is also to include the community-based approaches in all the activities what we are doing in the Arctic research. And I think that I'm almost ending now, and I would like to say thanks to the research team, so that they are Mervi-Riitta, Anastasia, Ulla-Anna, Sarane, and Marjo-Riitta, with whom we have done a lot of this work, but of course the other collaborators in the project in all over the world. And I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Arja Rautio. Super interesting perspectives. And while you are sharing off your screen, I can tell you that if you have questions for the two speakers of today, at the top of your screen you can put them there, and then we'll take the questions when Professor Roland Kallenborn has finished his talk and we stop the recording. So a very warm welcome to you, Roland, and feel free now to share your screen.
So I'm sharing the screen now. You hopefully see my presentation in presenting mode. So Christian, thank you very much for this nice introduction. And well, I'm here in the second webinar of ArcSolution, also to set the stage, because we have already for the next month or so quite a comprehensive program set up, where we also see, the single results and some other aspects associated with the project will be presented. My role now, after Professor Rautio has on such a comprehensive way introduced practical aspects and results from on One Health research in the Arctic, I will now put this also in an ArcSolution perspective. My name is Roland Kallenborn. You already heard this, and I am the coordinator of this project. I will give a presentation on One Health and the One Health approach as it be seen by the ArcSolution team and consortium. I am actually a professor in organic chemistry, as Christian correctly mentioned, and I'm also have an adjunct position at North University in Bodø. This is because the ArcSolution project is managed and administered by the Faculty of Biosciences and Agriculture at the Bodø University, and I'm working with the scientific priorities of the project there. I have worked for the past 30 years as an expert for the Arctic Monitoring Assessment Program, and also, as Christian correctly mentioned, I'm currently serving as a EU-Arctic chair for environmental pollution research there. So I had all throughout my entire career. When I started and I came to Norway, I had a strong focus on polar and Arctic research with the specific interest in environmental pollutant risk assessment, identification of new pollutants, food assessment, the link between food resources and pollution, and also the new contaminants, the so-called contaminants of emerging concern. When it comes to human activities in the Arctic, in general, it has been also in the previous public paper, also in other public statements have been mentioned that the Arctic is a pristine area. It's very unspoiled, no environmental effects, and anthropogenic contamination might have plays a minor role. The Arctic is generally it's a marine environment. 2/3 of the Arctic environment is an ocean area, shallow and deep sea waters, and the people of the Arctic, they're living in the coastal areas, roughly between 100 and 300 kilometers from the coast. So we're having coastal influenced areas. But if you see here, this is a picture from a recent publication by Roland et al. Illustrating the main anthropogenic activities, a little bit also confirming again the data and the information provided by Arja earlier, shows that there are more and more the interest of human population, of the humans in the Arctic, is increasing gradually. With the expansion of industries like offshore activities, on land oil and gas exploration, mineral exploitations like mining and coal mining, and minerals like metals, and now recently also, due to the recent pressure on the international market, also the existence and the exploitation potential of rare earth elements is a focus area also in the Arctic environment, potentially also contributing to the large interest of the larger or Arctic countries like the US in areas like Greenland and so on. So we have increased tendency of human activities, and this will increase even more in the future. Therefore, it's important also already now, when we see that the human fingerprint on the Arctic is gradually increasing, that we are counteracting this with sustainable and balanced regulative measures. That's where our project is coming in, where we're trying to supply scientific information, science-based information, also fed by local and indigenous knowledge to help to shape also a good and sustainable platform for minimizing potential contamination, exposure risk of the people, the environment, and in an Arctic context. We talked about One Health, and we have heard a lot about One Health, and the definition of One Health is that we are integrating the balanced and the quality of the environment with human health and animal health, acknowledging that the high level and good developed human health system cannot exist without taking care of environmental health and animal health. Everything is interacting. And the One Health concept is actually acknowledging that health and sustainability of humans and animals and the environment, they are equally important. This has been one of the main motivations also, and as you may know, that the One Health concept has been developed not for pollutant monitoring, but has been developed mainly on the fact that the increased tendency that zoonosis, also animal-based diseases, can be transferred into the human society and the human individuals and can affect them directly. This is a direct response, or it has been seen as such, on the imbalance between animal and environmental health and the human health. this can just be counteracted by actually taking into consideration all these three compounds, which have already been introduced by Professor Rautio in a very well and balanced way. So we see when we're talking about wildlife and human interactions, there is an integrated network of a variety of different links we're having in the direct transfer of contaminants, the zoonosis, so diseases which can directly transfer into the human societies, which are a direct effect of an imbalance in the environmental systems, the ecosystems, where you're having where the food webs might be affected also by anthropogenic influences. Of course, there's a variety of other aspects as well, which are evident also in an Arctic environment. We will see that the cultural and the traditional aspects, like subsistence hunting and the seasonal food gathering, they are important parameters also when it comes to the interactions between the environment, the food and the animal situations. That's an important aspect which are fundamental to understand the One Health concept. And ArcSolution is building on that. The project, which is, as Christian already mentioned, funded through the Zero Pollution Program, is gathering 12 partners and 3 associated partners from a broad range of scientific, academic competence from several countries, 9 countries in this case, for finding balanced concept based upon One Health to look into local priority contaminants and reduce on a long time basis in a sustainable way risk assessment, the risks associated to exposure to pollutants and to pathogens, as it means that we are considering not just contaminants, but also the potential transmission of infectious diseases from animals into humans, for example, which is an issue which is currently strongly discussed in the scientific world due to climate change, because we are seeing that the disease vectors which are moving northwards due to the increased ambient temperatures which we are experiencing, and the changes of climate in the Arctic are tremendous. We see a rapid loss of the cryosphere, the ice-associated environments, and this can also lead to not just to changes in environmental exposure situation for pollutants, but also for microorganisms in this. All these concepts, which are obviously quite a complex picture, they need to be considered as one in a holistic kind of approach. That's where ArcSolution is coming in and try to approach this in a so-called transdisciplinary way, where we also for all the locations we have chosen as priority research locations, where we are implementing local indigenous local knowledge when it comes to look into potential countermeasures. So the interlinkage between humans and environments and animals is an important factor, and we're trying to address this by in our 7 or 5 scientific work packages in a balanced and broad way. We're looking both in contamination pathways and uptakes, potential primary and secondary contamination sources, the pathogen exposure situation, the interactions between wildlife and the humans, and of course also climate change and social scientific aspects, science aspects like culture, traditions, population structures, and so on, needs to be implemented in this large and very broad view of ArcSolution in this context. Now, the locations we have chosen, and there are now 5 of them. That's Itokortomit. It's previously called the Scoresbysund. It's on the east coast. It's a small east coast of Greenland. It's a small hunter community there. It's a typical Inuit population, and the people they're living by subsistence hunting and the traditional way. which is completely different example from Longyearbyen. Longyearbyen is the main settlement in Svalbard, with the main island Spitsbergen, with currently just about 2,000 inhabitants living there. It's a traditional Western style community with strong fluctuation of the population there. In average, the people are living in Longyearbyen for just an average of 3 to 4 years. And it has been previously a mining town, so we're having a certain industrial impact there as well. But now for the past, for the past year or so, the Norwegian mines have been closed. The only active mine on Spitsbergen is the Russian mine in Barentsburg. That brings also an additional component in there, because we're having no other place in the world at such a close proximity between different traditional and cultural components. On the one side, 70 kilometers to the west is the Barentsburg community of which is mainly a Russian mining town, still active mine, and on the eastern part of the fjord is Longyearbyen, with the more tourist-oriented and research-based community in there. Then we have the Faroe Islands, which have been added as a kind of additive last year to the project. There will be a focus on the whale hunter communities in the Faroe Islands. Within our project, I will go into this in more details later. Tromsø community is one of the largest cities in the Arctic. It's now roughly 80,000 people living there, away in the western Norwegian type of community, which is also again different to the Inari area than in northern Finland, where we're having a strong component of reindeer herders, which are giving us an additional aspect when it comes to the contribution of Inuit knowledge into our project. There are the 5 locations, and I will go into this now in more detail. This structure, with its transdisciplinary approach, not just academic and scientific, but also local science and technical and practical knowledge of the communities, is nicely reflected in the work package structure, where the 5 different active work packages, they are interacting very strongly, and they are contributing evenly to the solution and the priorities selected and further developed at the 5 locations, including the Faroe Islands. All the scientific, technological, social scientific, citizen science programs which have been developed at the different locations, they will be overseen by the work package 2, which is the development of an adjusted, locally anchored One Health framework. And then we have, of course, the management programs and the dissemination and reporting work packages. So work package 1 and work package 6. This structure, we believe, is actually very helpful to develop further this transdisciplinary kind of research activities, and also keep the harmonized collaboration between the different groups in a good framework. All of that, of course, they try to promote and to develop further a practical, applicable One Health framework for our locations, which we're considering as representative for the diversity of the Arctic region and the environments. You see, this is also representative in the commitment of the different partners at the different locations for the different research activities which are planned, which are covering both theoretical modeling, involvement of social and the scientific activities of more or less based upon local indigenous knowledge, our chemical analytical programs, the technological solutions, citizen science activities, and then later on how we translate this into prioritization and recommendations for regulations. We have therefore already during the past year, and we know that the ArcSolution project is now in the 2nd year already. We started our work in August in 2004 and are now at just roughly month 16, 17 with our project. And we see also that we have involved already now several local stakeholders, including schools at the different locations, experts from the municipalities, and local interest organizations like the local trapper and hunter organizations, and as well as other local indigenous and ethical groups into our activities wherever it's needed to do that. For that, and also to maintain this, the contact and provide also progress information for the people, and so also create a kind of ownership for the activities. We are developing, we are conducting once a year consultation meetings at the 5 locations where we are communicating with our stakeholders, developing further our projects and concepts together. All partners are involved roughly in all work packages, and therefore also are contributing to this trans and interdisciplinary work we are planning to do, or we're doing currently in ArcSolution. So, for example, Longyearbyen, we are currently having developed a joint collaboration project with the Folkehøjskole, that means the Adult Educational Institute at Longyearbyen, where we are developing, for example, joint dissemination activities and collection of fish samples. In Longyearbyen now, for example, there's a certain challenge when it comes to the drinking water supply systems, which have potentially they are currently facing bad drinking water quality there, and we are contributing there together with the small company which is called ScanWater to develop reliable filtration methods for providing good drinking water situation in Longyearbyen there. There are also the Folkehøjskole involved in that, where they are helping and collecting samples and looking into potential contamination risk situations there. Furthermore, there are collaboration with the local veterinaries there for looking into animal-human health interactions. And as an example, we will develop now together with the local vet there and dog owner concept, where we're looking into potential transfer and interactions between when it comes to the microbiome, that means the microflora and the animals and the humans and how they're interacting with each other. That's one of our flagships in Longyearbyen. In addition to that, we're having a very strong human health component in Longyearbyen, where we are looking where there have been an extension of a large cohort there, but I will go into which is called the MISA study from northern Norway. This is led by the University of Tromsø, the Arctic University, and they're doing their local health survey, which has already started during summer 2025. This is in a way linked also with the potential food uptake. So we are also in the process of collecting local food, which we identified as mainly marine fish, as the Atlantic cod, and also local reindeer, and look into the potential mechanisms of pollutant transfer through food in Longyearbyen. There's also, as I mentioned to you, there's a citizen science project which are currently in the development with the local high school, and among other things, also our social scientists from the North University and the Noland Research Institute. They have developed now a quite comprehensive program there to look into the trust situation. There have been for a long time now this drinking water problems in Longyearbyen, and there have been also expressed during our meetings a certain critique on how the local authorities are handling this problem. So this will be a basis for a social science study on local trust with authorities in the north. Maybe interesting also, potential also in Greenland. We will see whether this could be taken up there. Greenland is a very focused area, and Christian Sonne is one of our contacts people in Greenland, together with our colleague from the health authorities in Greenland, Gert Milwart. They are currently in collaboration with our ferries partners developing a fieldwork program in Skogsbysund on looking into brown fat distribution. Brown fat is a very special energy-rich fat type, which is specifically characteristic for northern populations. It's developed usually in northern populations. This fieldwork will be coordinated and worked in March. And there are also other plans. There will be sample collections from wildlife, and other program parts will be conducted during our core fieldwork, which will take place now in the spring of this year. There are now pollutant monitoring and activities going on, specifically food sources. The hunters, the polar bear and reindeer samples will be collected, as well as fish samples. And we're having already an ongoing surface snow program ongoing there. It's a PhD project led by the Aarhus University, which are looking into seasonal spatial distribution of microplastic in Greenland snow, which is meant or is expected to be mainly from atmospheric sources, as well as some citizen science activities, both from the human health locations, which are led by University of Greenland and their health authorities, in collaboration with the University of Oulu. There's a regular summer school which ArcSolution is contributing in collaboration with the NUNAMED conference. This last year in October, there was a strong contribution of ArcSolution in the teaching profiles and the summer school at the NUNAMED summer school held in Nuuk in Greenland. In Finland, there's a variety of activities going on. There's expressed earlier some concerns when it comes to quality of drinking water, and that will be also a main issue which we will cover in collaboration with the Same Educational Institute. We have also now contact with the Ivalo sewage treatment plant and will look into sustainable and local anchored cleanup procedures when it comes to sewage and sewage releases. For that, there will be a variety of research programs in collaboration with our Swiss partners and Aarhus University, as well as with the NMBU, which are dealing with filtration methods and development of biochar methods for circular utilization of resources in the region. And we have already now collected a variety of samples, including burbot, burbot is a fish species considered as the cod of the freshwater cod species, and reindeer samples in order to look into contamination patterns and profiles. Maybe I mentioned it before, our primary pollutant groups, as mentioned also in the call, are for our project addressing perfluorinated, also poly and perfluorinated alkylate substances, microplastic and additives, mercury and mercury as main contaminants, in addition to those which we will hopefully identify later as potential local priority pollutants. Our citizen science and social science activities, they are in Inari collaboration with the Sami Educational Institute. The Faroe Islands have been added after this project have been approved by the EU Commission. They will have they are focusing on whale hunter and whale interaction, as similar as we have already seen in Greenland and in Spitsbergen, on animal and consumer pattern profiles, which is there will be also a gender specific part, the scientific approach will be followed. They are Faroese partners represented by Professor Paul Weyer from the Faroese health authorities. Will also collaborate with our Greenland partners on studies on the brown fat, which I already mentioned, and also in issues associated with immunotoxicity. There's an involvement in most of the other activities also when it comes to school involvement and practical aspects and stakeholder collaboration, where we are inviting our Faroese partners also to join in these various activities. One of the main focus areas now, which is already active, is this registration platform, which has been developed under the iNaturalist web page, where our project, led by the Aarhus University researcher, by Aarhus University, it has established a network there where we are inviting our schools and also scientists to report observations of macro and mesoplastic contamination pollution in wildlife, so they can report their potential findings supported with figures. This project is led by Dr. Jakob Strand from the Aarhus University. It's an important task of our project. Now, let's face it, the effect and the importance of our project is increasing even after we have been supported by European Union. We see that the currently focus, both the geopolitical, industrial, and human activity focus in the north, is obviously showing that something such approaches we are choosing are highly important also to support and inform the local authorities and the local people in developing reliable solutions when it comes to contamination, specifically with the increase of industrial activities, land-based mining activities, offshore and land-based gas production, increased population is an obviously motivation for us to see that we can keep the Arctic environment as a high healthy environment as possible. We see that into climate change. We see changes in migration of animals, and the people are moving into also the traditional lifestyle of the people are under threat. This has consequences potential for food supply and food security. The westernization of the locations of the local populations in Greenland, in Canada, in other regions of the Arctic is an evident issue for that, and it will lead to changes in potential disease expressions and other potential lifestyle associated physiological effects. Therefore, it's important also to protect the environmental sources, see it as a kind of resource, and use also resources like bio-waste and so on for recircular for processing and utilization for the benefit of the people of the North. Climate change and pollution are interacting, and they need to be taken into consideration. There will be new aspects to be covered in the light of our project, I'm sure about this. So ArcSolution hopefully will respond to that. We are a very motivated group of researchers. We will planning to link One Health into our interactive collaboration research, both for the benefit of human health and environmental risk assessment. It's important also to have this in mind and illustrate this and the effect and the potential benefit of One Health when it comes to decision making and regulation. This includes also a new development, for example, by climate change. We see that, for example, the potential of agricultural applications in the north is increasing. The agricultural areas which are not been feasible in the north earlier will move into the north, and this will have some consequences, both socio-economic and also environmental. Integration of these aspects, that means we're looking into pollution presence and restrictions. Exposure, that means to look into the total exposure situation of the people and the microbiome characterization. That's an important focus of our work as well. So that was my presentation, and thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, then please, I'm open for questions.
That was great. Thank you so much, Professor Roland Kallenborn. That was great insights. So while I am sharing the picture of our upcoming seminar, you should be able to put a few more questions into the Q&A, and then we will soon stop to record the seminar. But here, please take a look at the upcoming seminars. The next will be the 5th of February. It will be about research and regulatory challenges in relation to pollution in the changing Arctic. So please tap in and ensure that you write yourself up for this. Okay, that was it of today. Now we move on to the Q&A, and I will now stop recording this for the YouTube AMAP channel.